We kind of said, didn't we, if someone had no idea what a self-tape was, what would be the 7 things that you would kind of say to them?
Welcome everybody to episode 59 of Watch Ross, the one where we help you get to grips with self-tapes.
So this is just
press record.
If I say,
Mum!
Alright.
I just press record.
Well, if you're going to be looking that way, you want the voice to be coming from
No, I need you to stand there because it's eye line.
So here we are, ruining my flat, setting it up as a self-tape studio because the topic for this week's vlog is going to be self-tapes. We would normally do an intro outside. It was a little bit different. It's throwing it down outside. If we take Petch outside and get him wet, or we feed him after midnight, he's like a gremlin and he starts kicking off and killing people. So we can't have that. Yeah, we're going to be talking all about self-tapes today because I've seen a massive surge from casting directors requesting self-tapes, particularly for first round auditions. They've been around for like 2 years or so, but I've never seen more requests for self-tapes than I'm seeing at the moment. Petch did 4 in a week a couple of weeks ago. One that I recently did got me the biggest opportunity of my acting career and a screen test for a massive American show in Toronto. I actually came second, like didn't get the job. But you know what they say, Petch?
Second schmeckend.
No, they don't say second schmeckend. They say first the worst, second the best, third the one with the hairy chest. So I'm not bitter about that. And actually, talking about rejection, we filmed a video recently that we're going to put out on Instagram on rejection. Here's a little clip of it. Sometimes you just got to get knocked down lower than you have ever been in order to stand up taller and stronger than you have ever been before. If you really wanted that gig, and you've hit your rock bottom, you need to use that right now as the foundation to build your future success upon. If you want to see the rest of it, go to @RossAGrant and @ActOnThisTV on Instagram. Please follow me, share that. I think it's super, super valuable. So yeah, we're going to be talking all about self-tapes. I've had loads of emails from actors asking me how they do a self-tape, what background they should use, lighting, cameras, audio, all this kind of stuff. We're going to be covering that in a podcast exclusively for actonthis.tv. If you're not a member yet, get yourself over to the website and sign up. Our special guest is a guy who knows loads about self-tapes as well. He's an actor who you will see in Brassic at the moment. If you've been watching Brassic on Sky One, the Joe Gilgan, Michelle Keegan comedy, hilarious. He plays a character in that called Joe Blaine Jr. He's a fighter, looks mean as hell, but he's actually a lovely guy in real life. Rick S. Carr. I don't know what the S stands for, Petch.
Self-tip.
Rick Self-Tape Carr is coming in today to tell us how he got the job for Brassic via self-tapes, multiple self-tapes actually, and he's actually got a side hustle as well where he films self-tapes now for actors on the side. Petch does this as well. If you are struggling for self-tapes, and you don't want to do your own, even after listening to this podcast, reach out to Petch or people like Rick. They can do self-tapes for you. You don't need to buy all this equipment, and it's not expensive, by the way. Don't get it twisted. This background's like 40 quid. This light was about 60 quid. This microphone you can get for like 50 quid. If you get a job off the back of one self-tape, if you've invested in this kit, it's going to pay you hundreds of pounds. It will cover all of that investment, if you want to do it yourself. If not, these guys, will film a self-tape for you. So Rick's going to be here in a minute. We're going to have to take all of this stuff down that we just put up for the start of the vlog, set the mics up, and yeah, this is the Self-Tape Podcast.
I've just pressed record. I've just pressed record. We've been silent, but no, seriously, we've been silent for about a minute, and then I've pressed record, and you just start speaking.
So, Rick S. Carr, welcome to my apartment. Welcome to actonthis.tv. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for coming round. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's such a lovely apartment.
Well, I appreciate that,
It's very nice.
We should probably do a separate podcast
I think so.
on interior design.
Cribs.
Act on this, Cribs. We just filmed the intro to this vlog. This podcast is all around... whose Siri's going off now? Petch, honestly, it's like literally we do the podcast, he just sits there and just plays on his phone.
Just can't get the stuff, can you?
Turn Siri off, Petch. We, on the vlog, we were talking all about the whole point of this podcast. We're going to be talking a lot about self-tapes today. You're an actor, you do self-tapes with people, you kind of got into that kind of by accident. We're going to be looking at all of that, how self-tapes have helped you land jobs. You literally just got a text on your phone right now from a client who you did a self-tape for this morning saying they've got a meeting with the director now.
Yep.
Absolute win. But we said, what does the S stand for in Rick S. Carr? Because Petch went, it's obviously self-tape.
It is Rick self-tape Carr, that's it. How did you know? It's Stephen. Stephen, yes.
Right, is that your phone as well? Right,
Bloody
get out.
Hell.
Petch, get out, honestly. It'd be like, it's me agent, but it's not even that, honestly. Right, he's gone anyway. Sorry about that, podcast listeners. So, Rick, for those who are hearing from you for the first time today, obviously, you're an actor based here in Manchester. Mm-hmm. We're all in this together, all jobbing actors, looking for that next gig. As this is going out, as we're literally recording this, you are appearing right now in Sky One's Brassic.
Yes.
As an awesome character, Joe Blaine Jr., it's so interesting because he just looks like such a mean...
Looks like me.
He looks like you, but he's a completely different character to you. Yeah, tell us about Brassic, how that came about.
Initially, it was a self-tape to get in the room, and the self-tape... Oh, phone's going there.
I know, my phone's going. Honestly, just carry on.
It's not you, it's Petch.
Oh, God.
So initially it was a self-tape. I think a lot of programs these days now, they're going to get you on a self-tape first before they get you in the room.
It's just happening more and more. Self-tapes have been around as a thing for a couple of years in the UK now. They were massive in America before that, but I have never seen more people being relied on
a lot more now. A lot more, yeah. Initially, if you've seen the episode, by the time this goes out, it will have been aired.
Episode 3, yeah?
Yes. The opening part of the episode is me screaming at the TV, and it's meant to be like a YouTube video. And that was the self-tape scene that I had to do for the audition, basically. Yeah. And I made it a little bit different. It was a bit risky, but it was something that I thought worked with it. So when I sent the initial self-tape off, it wasn't just a self-tape of me doing the scene. It was also edited to look like it was a YouTube video as it was in the script.
Yeah.
So there's little things like that which kind of, I think, helped me get me in the room a little bit.
It's going a little bit above and beyond.
Yeah, I imagine it probably stood out a little bit more than a normal self-tape. So it's just little touches like that which I think helped get me in the room. And then once I was in the room, the rest was history, really.
But then after that, even though you were asked to film a few more tapes, weren't you?
Correct, yeah. So basically, I think with my role, because it's such an imposing character, what they wanted to do was they was either going to use a fighter and teach him to act, or use an actor and teach him to fight. Fortunately, I've got fighting background, so it kind of worked. So we're going to dive into 7. We came up yesterday when we had a brew with kind of like 7... We don't want to say golden rules because nothing is permanent. These will kind of change, but just give people. We're going to talk about 7 things that you really need to consider. We kind of said, didn't we? If someone had no idea what a self-tape was, what would be the 7 things that you would kind of say to them? Yeah, that are kind of most of them are the non-negotiables in terms of if you just want to do a solid self-tape. These are 7 things that we're going to talk about now. Get a pen and notepad out. If you've never done a self-tape before, make some notes. We're going to share our knowledge with you. Rick, how many self-tapes a week do you do for other people? Because this has been a thing that you've kind of fallen into by accident, isn't it? More or less, yeah. So last week, for example, I did around 7. Yeah? Wow. 7, yeah. The week before that, it varied from 5 to 10. So it depends. One this morning before you came in. Exactly, yeah. One this morning. Well, 2. Few scenes. Yeah, 2, yeah. One yesterday. It depends on how busy the breakdowns are that are going out there as well, and, what's actually being cast at the minute, because if nothing's being cast, you're not going to be doing any self-tapes. So it just depends how busy it is as well with the casting breakdowns that are going out. So it varies from week to week, really. But I think one thing we did say yesterday is, regardless of all the equipment and all the bells and whistles of a self-tape, is what the casting directors are looking for. And I think you have to jump into that mindset to be able to feel comfy knowing what you're doing.
Before you even set anything up, and you've got the sides through, and you've got the brief, it's like, actually, right, what do I want to achieve in this tape? Ultimately, what do I want to portray? What do I need to show the casting directors?
Because the casting director, inevitably, they're looking at, can you do the job? That's what they're looking for. Can you do the job? What does he look like, or what does she look like? And can I see them doing that role?
So let's dive in then to point number 1. And this is, this is just something that I can't hammer home enough for not just self-tapes, but just for every single freaking part of your career. Every casting director I get on for a podcast tells me this is the number 1 thing that lets actors down the most. So let's just talk about this. Number 1, Rick, is
be prepared.
Preparation. Yeah.
Be prepared.
So how do you get prepared for a self-tape then?
I make sure I know the character inside out.
Yep.
Every little angle that potentially could be explored, I explore it. And then I pick the best bits from each part and think, right, this is my character. And then I'll run with it. But if they give you extra, if they give you the full script, you'd be a fool not to read it.
That's another thing. Yeah, if you get the luxury of the full episode.
And even if you're not in the whole episode, you get a feel for how the program is. And you get a feel for what they're going for, which then helps you when it comes to your scene. Is it going to tie in with the rest of it?
Yep.
And I think that is, they've not give you the script for no reason. They've give it you for a reason.
Yep.
For that particular reason. Can you make your character fit in within the realms of what's going on here?
Yep. There's a massive, massive thing that, I find a lot of people, when I used to work as a casting assistant, people would come in and you could tell whether they knew the story and they'd read the rest of it.
If they ask a simple question like, what did you think of the rest of it? And you've only read your part, is that a risk you want to take in the room?
Yeah, no, definitely not. And there was, even if you haven't, just say you have, try and blag it a little bit. Don't go in and say, no, I definitely haven't read it.
It's a risky game.
A
risky game.
But it can inform, if you do read it, there can be something 3, 4, 5 scenes later that informs, something in your scene that you would never have known about otherwise.
Yeah.
It could be.
I get it as well where, you do only want to read your part because you don't want to let the rest influence you. I do get that side of it as well. But me personally, if the full thing's sent to me, I'm going to read it.
I would always read it because there's been episodes that I've done of stuff where people have commented on my character in later scenes and they've said things like, yeah, God, he seemed a bit shifty, didn't he? You go, wait a minute, right, I need to play this shifty then, because otherwise why would they be saying that 3 scenes later? I know you've got like a dedicated room in your place for self-tapes, so you don't need to do this, but I've bought a pretty huge, like a 6 foot by 6 foot pop-up background, and it was cheap.
And you can change them, can't you?
Yeah, well, this was
the colours, and you clip them on.
Well, this is like just almost like it just pops up. It folds down into a little circle, into a little bag, and it pops up massive. Green on one side if you want to do green screen. You don't have to obviously do that, and then it's just I've got a nice, lovely like silvery grey on the other side. It's quite reflective, so when you shine a light on it, it's very flattering. Nice soft light bounces off it, and it was like 43 quid, off eBay. No, off Amazon I got that one, but I've seen them on eBay as well.
Amazon and eBay are perfect for if you're going to reinvest into
all this sort
your
of
career. Amazon and eBay, it's all there.
Definitely, and
from tripods to the pop-up thing that you've just been on about, they're all there.
So you don't have to spend a fortune, guys. And if you're like, you know what, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment here. There is a couple of plain walls. Before I got this, I used to use those. But I was aware it's like, you know what, you can kind of still see the picture hook, even though I took the picture down. You can see a bit of the blinds. It's not like a nice, super, super plain, non-distractive background. Point number 4, Rick.
Point number 4 would be, I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, but lighting.
Lighting, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether that's natural sunlight, and you can see you and everything's clear and it's not blurry and they're not having to, what's going on there? Or I've got soft boxes.
Yeah, so explain to people what that is. They'll be like, what's a soft box?
Soft boxes are just lights that pop up on a tripod, and again, we spoke about earlier from Amazon. They probably cost me about 60 quid, 70 quid.
For 2?
For 2, for 2. And they pop down, they come in like little bags as well if you want to, if you was to bring it to someone else's house or you was moving it around or whatnot. So easily storaged as well.
Yep.
But they just stay up in my room, in the dedicated self-tape room.
In the self-tape den.
Yeah.
But honestly,
it's important, and they're very easy to get hold of. So, I've heard you speak earlier on a podcast where you've said, people land a job and then they go on a holiday to Ibiza.
Yeah, they waste the money they've earned by some
Instagram
bullshit.
And, they're buying X, Y, and Z. If you're in this industry, you want to reinvest back into the industry. And, you might reinvest into all this equipment and you might not get a self-tape for 6 months. That's just the way the industry is. But when that self-tape does come along, if you've ticked all them boxes, you know, you're in a great position.
Yeah, honestly, just please, you know, if you are you're playing the long game, don't go and waste. You know, I'm not interested in short-term dollars. I've never been. When my agent phones me up and she's like, "Oh, you know, you've got this job, we're negotiating this deal," I'm literally like, "Jane, I'm not bothered. You go and deal with that. Like, I'll just accept whatever you think's right." You know, I'm just not interested in just a short-term gain. And any money I do earn, I mean, there's kit on the table, you know, and you know, the lights and the camera that's shooting this right now.
Very impressive.
These microphones, like thousands and thousands of pounds. It's not like, you know, I was just suddenly gifted this and just loads of money. You know, I've worked bloody hard for this, but I've just gone, you know what, the only way for me to reach the next level is to reinvest.
Yes.
And those soft boxes are great. I use those for years. I've got some LED panels now.
Yeah, they're great.
They're a little bit smaller and, you know, easier to kind of, you know, set up. But those soft boxes, I just gave to, and they last forever. I just gave two to Petch. That I used to use, and they were about for both of them. I think that was back in the day. They're about 70 or 80 quid. They're a bit cheaper now. There's a company called PhotoCell. They do a lot of stuff on Amazon. These are dead easy to use, guys. You literally, you know, just build it in a few minutes. You know, plug it in, and they just got a huge diffuser on the front of it, like a big piece of material, white material, and it just shines a lovely soft. It's called a soft box because it shines a lovely soft light at you. Very flattering. Makes you look a lot better on camera, doesn't it?
They do. They bring your eyes out a lot, which is great. And you can, depending on the actual scene itself, you know, I did one earlier and it was meant to be quite a dark scene and it was quite intense and we were not too sure what was going on with it. So we only had to use one. And we angled it so that the shadow really cast on his face brilliantly. And when you watched it back, it looked beautiful. It really did look beautiful. I was really impressed with it and how it came out. And it's just simple little tricks with lights as well that you can do.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you are relying on daylight, which is great, you know, if you just film in front of a big open window, never shoot into the light because you'll just look very shadowy and silhouetted. But if you're using, you know, the window to give you the light, obviously you can't move the sun, so you can't be quite as you know, inventive with the, you know, the angles of stuff. Whereas if you've got your own lights and you can position them around, like Rick said, and you want to make it a bit more sinister, you want to cast shadows on half of somebody's face, you've got a lot more control over that.
Number 5. Sound.
Yep. Audio is a big issue. I think audio, to a certain sense, is more important than picture. If you can see someone but it sounds shit, you want to turn it off.
The thing is with sound as well, if something sounds really bad, it can make you look really shit.
Yeah.
Regardless how good you are, if it sounds shocking, it's going to make you look shocking as well.
The background noise, like, and you can't hear the person speak.
They're not going to be able to see past that.
No.
They're not going to be able, because they're going to watch it and it's going to be an annoyance to them that the sound's crap. And they're just going to switch it off.
Yeah. So what advice would you have for people for audio? And I'm going to give you guys some very specific things to buy now if you've got about 75 quid to spend. That'll just, you'll never need to worry about it again. There you go, folks. So I don't know how many clips you just saw there, but you saw a few clips of what was a cracking 95-minute podcast rate. How was that for you?
It was great. Not bad back now. It was great.
Yeah, he did just have to do some stretches on the floor because we sat down for too long. Listen, we just want to give you a bit of exclusive value on this vlog that we didn't cover in the podcast. There's a couple of things that came up during that podcast I want to expand on, and a few things that Petch and Rick have been asked by actors who have been, you know, doing self-tapes with these guys. These guys film self-tapes every week for people, that we just kind of want to clear up and tell you ultimately that although we just created, you know, a podcast on, you know, 7 like rules, you know, golden rules of self-tapes, that rules are meant to be broken, and sometimes you can, you know, break these rules to get a better result. The first thing that Petch said that he's been asked a lot is if the character you are playing opposite is, say, you know, if it's a man or a woman, is it all right for a man to read in if the part is for a woman? And it's like, you know, I've had that before. It's like, you know, there's been a flirty scene where I've gone, right, I need to do the self-tape, but I don't have a woman to read in. You know, I've had to do that with a male reader. It's acting, innit? Just act. What do you reckon, Rick?
Exactly that. You know, if you haven't got a girl that can help you read in, then...
You can hold this.
Oh, thank you. I thought it was like a proper interview. You do this.
No, get that on your chin. You can hear you. Go on.
No, if you haven't got a girl that can help you read in, then, like Ross said, just act. I'm sure you can do it in front of a guy or not. I've flirted with all my friends and it's great. Yeah. It's brilliant. I fancy some of them after flirting with them. It's great.
Yeah, see. Rick will flirt with anybody. The other thing was, the second thing that came up was, Petch, what was it? Accents, yeah. Accents, right? If you've got to do an accent in a self-tape, Do you do the accent for the slate at the beginning where you're saying, hi, my name is, my agent is, etc.? The other day we had a tape that I was doing where I had to play a geek and I was using Petch's glasses. They're not that geeky, Petch, but they made me look like a geek. And I was like, do I keep the glasses on in the ident or do I take them off to show them what I like without them? I decided to keep them on because I wanted them to kind of get that geek feeling from the off. But again, I don't think there's any necessarily like hard and fast rule. Rick's take.
Yeah, it's your preference. If you want to do your normal accent so they can hear that you are from Manchester or from wherever you're from, and then you jump into another one, you might open a new door for them thinking, oh, he's good. Or then again, you might open a door for them thinking, oh, I can actually hear the normal accent. It's a tricky one. There's nothing to say, yes, do your slate and your accent, but I don't know. It's a tricky one. I think, personally, I've done my accent just normally in the slate and then gone into the accent in the actual take. But again, it's something there's no right or wrong answer with that one. If you want to do an accent in your slate, then do an accent in your slate. It keeps you in it, keeps them in it, doesn't break the illusion. So,
yeah. Good. And lastly, if you're doing a conventional self-tape, which is going to be 9 times out of 10 what you're doing, a pretty regular, standard scene, what we've just recorded, like if you follow those 7 steps, I guarantee you will have a really solid product at the end of it. However, we were just talking, there are occasions where you will be asked to do something that is not conventional at all. Petch did a self-tape for a girl, an actress, just a couple of weeks ago, where they filmed it in a bath. Nothing weird. Nothing weird going on. But she was, her character was she committing suicide, Petch? God, was committing... I mean, that's high stakes for a self-tape, isn't it? But she decided to do it in the bath. That would have a lot more impact than somebody committing suicide in front of a lovely grey background that's really well lit. So there are occasions where you can throw these rules out of the window, when it matters. You did a tape for Gillings recently where he was in the garden or something, didn't you?
Yeah, it was for a motion capture video game, and it was completely... The majority of it was, I think they wanted to see how he looked, what he was doing, can they believe him in that particular scenario? And a lot of it was, kicking down doors, running around with a gun, checking scenarios out, checking the place out, and in the realms of a self-tape inside a small room with a clear background, yeah, you can do it, but if they can see it and, you can make it believable in your back garden, do it in your back garden.
Yep, definitely. There have been people who have done we're just talking mega production value self-tapes where they've actually gone out into the woods, for the Game of Thrones auditions and stuff, and they've really created almost short films as their self-tapes. There are, there are no right or wrong answers to this. What I would say is, for those who are overwhelmed by this, is just pick up a camera and just try different things, taste different things, see what works for you. The more proficient you can get at this and the more kind of, used to it, I guess, the more well-versed and prepared you are. Preparation was a big thing we spoke about in the podcast then. The better the results are going to be, and you're going to feel less self-conscious on camera. You're just going to get far, far better results. Go listen to the full podcast there, 95 minutes of fire. Go to actonthis.tv. If you're an actor and you're not a member of this website, you're missing out on 300-400 hours worth of golden advice from the biggest actors, agents, writers, casting directors, producers, etc. in this industry. We've got some fantastic content on the site already. More coming up every week. It's £2.50 a week. I mean, I don't know where can you get better value than that, Rick?
You can't. Lidl.
Not even little, I would say. So get on the website and let us know your thoughts. Social media is up on the screen right now. If you, at the end of this, are like, you know what, I never want to do self-tapes for myself. I think it's a mistake, but if you don't want to get involved and actually learn how to do it yourself, Rick, Petch, people like these guys are all over the country who will film your self-tapes for you. Reach out to these guys on social media. If you're in the north particularly, Rick and Petch, great guys to go to. Let me know if there's people down south doing this as well. I know Fraser in the Acts in this community does a lot of this, this sort of stuff down south with Mr. Self-Tape as well. There are options out there, but I just think if you can bring the power into your own hands, it's the better in it. I think, you're more in control of your career there. We're going to be back next week. Don't know what with. We've got some great guests lined up. I'm not going to tease you with them yet because, one of them's massive if I can pull it off, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I think I will, fingers crossed. But yeah, we're going to be back with some more great content. Please subscribe, share this with a friend if you think it's going to be useful to them, and let us know if we can help you. Yeah, anything we can do for you, please reach out. Got a little catchphrase to end with, Rick. I should put this on every self-tape I do, actually, at the end of every take. I'll just be right, thanks for watching, guys. You know what it is, don't you? Oh, come on. Bye for now. Yes. Yeah, he's forgot already. Bloody hell. course he bloody knows.
Typical actor, forgetting his lines.
I know, honestly. We're not prepared. Hey, listen, thanks so much for watching. We'll be back next week in 3, 2, 1. Bye for now. Thank you so much for watching this episode. It really would mean the world to me if you would leave a comment telling me what you enjoyed and what you would like to see more of next time. If you want to catch more episodes, head over to facebook.com/WatchRoss or youtube.com/WatchRoss. Make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on. I'll be back real soon. Bye for now.
Yeah, Petch was going to say it's coming up. It's going to be called Self Tapes Direct until we realised the acronym was STD. I'm going to say that.